Hi, I'm Karl from Future Sounds Education and welcome to this guitar tutorial for Still Into You by Paramore. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. The main riff of this song is in two halves and it outlines two different chords. So the first chord is an F major 7 and the second chord is a D minor 7, or you could think of it as a D minor 9. So the first half starts on an F, so I'm on the first fret on the 6th string, note of F, and then we're moving up to the 5th fret on the 6th string, the note of A, and then the 3rd fret on the 5th string, the note of C, and the 2nd fret on the D string, or your 4th string, which is E. So F, A, C, and E. Once we're done with that and the riff moves up to D minor 7 or D minor 9, we can think of our riff outlining this chord with a D on our 5th string, that 5th fret, then back to the A as before, and you could here choose to play the A as an open string. Then we have the two notes we finished on before with our C on our 3rd fret and E on our 2nd fret. So D, A, or as an open string if you want, our C, and then our E. So just looking back on the first part of the riff over the F, the riff has two alternating parts, and what I mean by this, I'll play it and to better explain it. So the first half of the riff, you just get one note at the end, it finishes on that E. The second part, the alternating part, it actually goes back to the C, so you get something like this. So putting the two parts together, and we do the same sort of thing on the D. So when we're moving up to the D, we have the first part just hangs on the E, and then the second half of the riff comes back down again, which would sound like this. Okay. So let's talk about some timings of this riff. If we're just counting to 4, so just 1, 2, 3, 4, we're splitting it into 8th notes. It's an 8th note based riff. So you're thinking of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if you just keep that in mind, and I'll play the riff, hopefully you can hear how it's subdivided. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and that same subdivision carries on for the D, same thing again. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and same thing again. Obviously you keep that alternating pattern going on the F, on the D. So you just finish on the E the first time, and on the second time around come back to the C. Okay, so just to finish off this section, I'm going to play what would be the whole verse pattern together, but just a quick note on sound. So this whole song would be played on the bridge pickup of some kind of Les Paul or a humbucking bass guitar. The important thing here is a humbucker, with some distortion, with some overdrive, a nice sort of crunch sound. Not too heavy to push it into sort of the heavier style, sort of metalish, but think of that classic rock sort of crunch. It should be right along the lines. So let's put it all together. Just going to play the verse pattern as it would be on the record, maybe a little bit slower than it would be on the record, just so you can hear how it's supposed to be. So here it goes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the F and the riff repeats, and that's pretty much the verse. So let's move on to the pre-chorus and then the chorus. So moving on from the verse into the pre-chorus and then the chorus of this tune, we're dealing with just 3 chords. We've got 3 different types of power chords. The first being a B flat 5, the next being a C5, and then an F5. So the pre-chorus is 4 bars, and it's using palm muting. So it should sound like this, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so you have 1 bar on your B flat 5s, and then 1 bar on the C5, and then you have 2 bars on the F. So when you're palm muting, just remember the idea is to get the sound not completely dead, but just dead enough to thicken it up and get that real rock sort of sound. Again, I'm playing it clean here just for clarity, but you'd want that same bridge pickup and some light overdrive on there to really bring it out. So just to recap the part again. And again, talking about timings, you have a subdivision of 8th notes again, so counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So just playing that with the part and counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's pretty much the pre-chorus. Moving into the chorus, you have the same chords and the same rhythm. We're still playing 8th notes. All we're doing now is releasing the palm mute and playing full on for the wide open chorus sound. So you have the same chord progression again, the B flat 5 to the C5 to the F and 2 bars on F, and that pattern repeats twice. And then on the 3rd time in the chorus, the progression gets extended with the addition of D5. So I'll just play that extended progression just so you can hear it. So it sound like this. Okay, it's just the addition of the D5 in there for just 1 bar. Again, still playing the 8th note rhythm. And you can really strum quite hard here to get the desired effects. It sounds really cool. So I definitely recommend that. As far as strumming goes, I'm using all downstrokes. It's quite a stylistic thing. And I think that's what he's doing on the record as well. You can choose to play alternative strokes, so I'll just demonstrate that. But it sort of loses its effect, I think. I think it's much more appropriate to use all downstrokes, and it's a lot easier to do as well. But I'll leave that decision up to you. So just to recap the chorus, you have B flat 5, C5 and F5. That progression goes around twice. Then we have the extended progression, which is the addition of a D5. So that would be and then just to finish off the chorus, we have two more bars, and all they are is back to the B flat 5 again, the same 8th note strumming, and then when we get to the C, we have a stop on 1, and there's a rest, and then the song carries on. So just to play that last 2 bars for you, it should sound like this. 2, 3, 4, and then on the 1 again is the main riff that we've already talked about before. So after we have the pre-chorus and the chorus, you have the main riff again, and then it goes back to the start and it carries on through all the way through back to where we've just played to at the end of the chorus. So we're going to jump now to the bridge of the song and look at the final new section. So now we've reached the bridge section of this tune, and it's similar to the main riff. It starts in the same place and it's outlining the same F major 7 chord as it was before, but the actual pattern is slightly different. So if we start off by looking at the notes that we're playing. So we start in the same place as the main riff on the 1st fret of the 6th string on our F note, but then we're moving up to the octave, which is on our 4th string on our 3rd fret. This is the note of F as well. Then we go down a semitone to the note of E, which we've played before. and then we're ending back up on the C, which we've played before as well, on our 3rd fret on our 5th string. So that's F, and up to the octave, down a semitone to E, and then our 3rd fret on our 5th string. So that opening riff should sound like this. Okay, and that riff, you hear that twice, and then the progression moves on. So after that's played twice, we then move up to our D, which is where we started the second half of our main riff. But this time, instead of playing that pattern, we're going to play a slightly different one, which is again 8th notes. So the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and counting. And it should sound like this. So it's on my D. So counting wise, it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and then the 4 ands, part of that last bar, would be your 3rd finger and your little finger. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're moving down to our C for the next bar, and it's just one note, all 8th notes, and it should sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's it. And then we go back to our riff on the F that we looked at just now, and then that whole pattern repeats 4 times in total. By 4 times I mean you have the 2 times on the F, you go up to your D, down to C, and that pattern starts again. So I'm going to play the bridge section as it would be on the record all the way through. So it should sound like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the bridge section. After we have that, we move back down to our pre-chorus that we had before. The only difference this time is that it repeats twice instead of just once. And then we have our final chorus, and then the end of the tune. So that's our bridge, and we'll now move on to the final chorus and look at the last part of the song. So now we've reached the final chorus of our tune. The final chorus uses the same chords as it did before. We've still got that B flat 5, the C5, 1 bar on each, and then our F5 for 2 bars. So we hear that whole progression twice, and then if you remember, we had the extended version, which is the B flat 5 for 1 bar, C5 for 1 bar. We have a D5 in there now for 1 bar, then F for 1 bar this time. And after that's happened, then we're on the final, the home straight of the tune. So it then goes back to B flat 5, and then a C5, both for 1 bar. And then that thing, it repeats again, B flat 5, C5 for 1 bar. And it's starting to ramp up towards the end of the tune. And then one final time, back to B flat 5. And then we're into our final bar. And in this final bar, the tune has quite an abrupt end. It actually ends on the 4 and. So if we're counting that, it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'll just play those final 2 bars just so you can hear how it should sound. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's quite an abrupt finish. Just be careful of that, to not extend over onto the 1. So when that final bar, maybe just count into your head, or maybe count out loud at first. Just count that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and finish it there. So the final chorus, just to recap, is exactly the same as the chorus, and the choruses, I should say, previous to that. The only addition is the final 4 bars, where it just repeats between B flat and C, B flat C, and then on the final time, B flat, and then the C, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you're finished. So for those of you that have finished the main parts of the song, we're just going to add in the little secondary riff that appears in the verses of this song. It's played by the second guitar player in the band, a session player, and unlike the rest of the main riff and the actual main parts of the song, this one's played clean. It's quite low down in the mix, so you'll have to listen to it, just to point it out to you guys that want to know how to play it. So, unlike the rest of the song, we're starting quite high up. We're starting on our 10th fret. We're going to stay in that area. And I'll just play the actual riff so you can hear it, and then we'll talk about fingering and that kind of thing. So it should sound like this. 2, 3, 4, 1. So the part itself goes along with the main riff, and it's sort of a harmony part. It keeps repeating itself, but doesn't change in patterns like the main riff, where it outlines an F major 7 and a D minor 7. So this stays as a harmony part, and it starts on your B string, the second string, on the 10th fret, and then moves down to the 8th fret on the B string, then down a string, back onto the 10th fret, and then we have down a semitone onto our 9th fret on our G string, and then finishing up on the D string on the 10th fret. And just like the main riff that had the 2 alternating ending parts, this riff also outlines that as well. So the first part, and the second part. So instead of going down, this one actually goes up. So I'll just play the whole riff again, all the way through, the 2 alternating parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And that's it. So it appears in the first verse, and then the second lot of verses after the first chorus. So I hope you enjoy that extra little part for those that you make it to it, and I'll see you next time.